Man of the hour, Andrew Adams, wears number 26 for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he plays safety. Before this game, I had never even heard of him. But after this last week, you bet your ass I've heard of him. 3 interceptions as the Bucs take down the Carolina Panthers 24-17 and move to 5-7 on the year. Welcome back to a brand new episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast. I am your host, the Biased Buck Fan Rat, joined alongside me as always, my good buddy and co-host, Mr. Bucks Football, Evan. Now, Evan, let's get back on track here. Let's talk about this Andrew Adams guy, because I'm sure a lot of people can agree with me that before this game, nobody had ever heard of him. I know that he was pulled up from the practice squad to fill some space in a beat-up secondary. Went out, had himself a career day. I knew that we had scooped him up from New York. He started there for a little while. But ever since then, we had very rarely seen him on the football field. Now, from what I saw on Sunday, if this guy's the real deal, and he's as talented next week as he was against the Panthers, I mean, consistency is key. He could have a bad game, which, you know what I mean, wouldn't surprise me. But if he looks just as good, I think that's another confident young safety that I wouldn't mind starting on my football team.
Well, first off, everybody, hello. It's Andrew Adams was, like you said, he was picked up from New York, the Giants. It was shortly after they had put Chris Conte on IR, I believe. So he was just signed to the roster. He wasn't signed to the practice squad.
Okay, bad.
So he's been on the roster, and he's been playing a lot of special teams minutes. This is his real first shot, and I mean, he made an impression. I would say the Buccaneers played a very good game, but I would say without him, I don't know if the Buccaneers win this game, because the Panthers had a ton of chances, and the Bucs they played good, but without him, I don't know if they win. I don't know if I trust him like you said, consistency is key. I don't know if I trust him as a starter, because there's a reason that this guy, he had started some games for the Giants, but this is his third year in his career, I believe, and he hasn't really, the Giants let him go, and then he was on the street for a little bit and then picked up by the Bucs. So, I think there's a reason for that, but
hey, there's no such thing as a late bloomer, or there isn't no such thing as a late bloomer.
It's a possibility, but, it's just, you go back and you look at those interceptions, and Adams, AA, AAA, whatever you want to call him, Jameis Winston likes to call him AAA, but he's got 3 picks. Yeah. 2 of those interceptions, you could say, definitely one of them. Definitely one of those interceptions, you could say, was just good pressure. Gerald McCoy, right? I know you want to touch on Gerald McCoy later. We will.
Oh, yeah.
But he was right in Newton's face on that second one. And Newton just lofted it up. So, the Buccaneers just played a really good defensive game. And Adams was a big part of it. He's a really big part of it. Kudos to him.
Yeah, and speaking of that quarterback pressure, I just wanted to touch on this defense as a whole played an absolute outstanding 4 quarters of football. I can't say it was perfect. Christian McCaffrey was able to do what he does best. Carolina moved down the field a few more times than I would have liked them to. But 4 sacks, 4 turnovers, that's some next level stuff. So how does Mark Duffner for defensive coordinator next year sound? These guys are as confident as they've been all year under him, and it's really going to come down to what we're able to do against the Saints if we're able to do anything, but I think if this defense goes out and balls out, you've got my vote for DC next year.
Nah, you don't have my vote until you go out on the road and do it, because so far you haven't gone on the road and done anything with any coordinator. So, you made the Giants look like an all-star team. You made, you struggled against the Panthers the first week on the road. You struggled against the Bengals. So, they got to just play decent defense. You don't even have to play great defense, all right? The NFL nowadays, there's not many great defenses in the NFL nowadays. That's not how the game is right now. Just play decent defense, get turnovers, and protect the football. That's how you win football games. And that's what the Buccaneers did on Sunday. That's what they did on Sunday.
They're trying to phase out the defense slowly but surely is really what I'm
it's
convinced
a
is
shame.
What's going on.
It's a shame because, I mean, defense is fun.
Yeah, it really is. Those turnovers, 4-1 game was crazy. You know what I mean? But
for a team that had gotten one interception, the first interception they had since week 3 was last week.
What have we got now? Like 6 over the last 2 games?
Yeah, six over the last 5 quarters.
Exactly. If that is not spectacular defensive football, then I can't tell you what is. Now, we've talked about a lot of the good things that this team was able to do, and I'm still going to touch on one of those things as you had brought up earlier. But something I also wanted to bring up was just looking at the stats here. You know, to me, when I looked at the offensive stats for the Panthers, the first thing that I thought of was Buccaneers football. Because the Panthers had 100-plus more yards than we did. They held the ball for longer on the time of possession. I don't remember the entire difference, but I know they had it for longer. And I think they had nearly twice as many first downs as we did, but they had 4 turnovers. If that doesn't sound like the Pewter Pirates, then I don't know what does. Now, Cam Newton had a terrible day, which made me very, very happy. It felt nice to not have to watch his stupid-ass smirk as he, danced his way to a knee to wrap up the game. That felt good, shutting him up. I got to say, my favorite play of the day from the defense was the Levante David sack, where Cam didn't even see it coming.
Oh, he got obliterated.
That was awesome. He didn't even see
Kevin
it coming.
Minter?
And, yeah, Kevin Minter as well. He had a hell of a sack. He really opened up the tone for that defense. And I don't know, man. It's just a really, really good thing to see. Did Cam Newton have a bad game? Yes. He almost threw 5 interceptions.
He should have.
He really should have. Ryan Smith should have held on, but who am I to say? We still won the game. And speaking of things that should have happened, that Peyton Barber turned over touchdown, that was malarkey.
That's horrible. Yeah.
These referees are probably worse than they have ever been.
Yeah, for both sides, there was a lot of that pass interference call on Dante Jackson in the end zone.
For everybody, man.
That was
everybody in the league.
Suspect. There was a lot of different things. The Panthers, Adam Humphries was running out of bounds. The Panthers player takes Humphries by the neck and throws him down out of bounds. No call there. There was a lot of bad calls. But like I said, the Buccaneers won the football game, and you're going to get some calls you're not. There was a lot of offsides that weren't called on the Buccaneers, and a lot of false starts that, we're going to talk about the offensive line a little bit later, but
penalties.
Yeah, it was nice to see. It was nice to see the turnovers, and I'm going to talk about the offense a little bit later because honestly, once the fourth quarter hit, I was not impressed at all. But I think I might have a little bit of an explanation for that. But we'll get to that a bit later.
And kind of wrapping things up here on the defense, the turnover battle was great. It was fantastic. I cannot sit here and say that enough. Winning the turnover battle is going to win and lose you football games, and that's what the Bucs were able to execute and walk away with a win in Raymond James last Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. Now, last thing I want to say about this defense is we dropped his name a little bit earlier before, but I just want to take a second and appreciate Gerald McCoy because, yes, he is an appreciated player. Yes, he's paid his dues, and he's been around long enough to be recognized as the veteran on that defense. But I feel like not enough people are talking about him when he needs to be talked about. And after this last game, he needs to be talked about. So, G-Mac could be credited for at least 2 of the 4 Buccaneers interceptions on Sunday. He put the pressure on Cam all day long. He made the double team his bitch all day long. He played like a beast, and it was great to see from a veteran presence in a guy like Gerald McCoy. He had a great game. Might not have translated into sacks. I don't know if he registered a sack that I can remember. I don't think he did. But he was doing a really good job beating up that O-line.
Yeah, how about Jason Pierre-Paul? Jason, did you see that get off?
Oh, my God.
To force that fourth down, that was ridiculous.
I'm telling you, we need an official segment. We need an official segment for talking about JPP. We really do. JPP and Carl Nassib hour, minute. Minus 58 minutes. That's always how to work, man. These guys out here continually doing great things. And this is a defensive unit that has really turned it around. Probably the most improved in my favorite part of the season so far. Yeah, the first 2 weeks were awesome, but your defense was still kind of sucky. These past few weeks, I can't say we've turned it around to be the best defense in the league by any means, because we're not. But when you're productive and you can turn the ball over, I mean, what else can you ask for from a defense, especially one that's hurting as bad as ours?
Turning the ball over and protecting football on the other side. If you do that, you're going to win football games. If you are able to consistently create turnovers and not turn over yourself, you're guaranteed to win at least 7 games.
Yeah. I mean, this is a team who was hungry to win. This is a team who I had heard before this game was licking their chops to play Carolina again. And I think another great part...
The Panthers needed this game. They needed this win.
They really did. And, one of the things I wanted to bring up a little bit later on has to do with that division and just how tight things are when you really take a step back and look at it. And we'll touch on that a little bit later. But let's wrap up this discussion here by talking about just what a good job that defense did. And we really got to give those guys their kudos. They went out there. They did their job. They did everything that we asked them to do. And the Bucs walked away with a win. So now let's flip the script. Let's talk about the offense. But let's talk about our quarterback first and foremost. So Jameis Winston with the visor, might I add. On Sunday, 20 for 30 passing, 249 yards. 2 touchdowns, and I want to say he scrambled for 48 yards as well. He did a great job protecting the football. He was able to scramble and snag a few first downs. 48 yards over 5 carries was the total number. And he did his job over the air as well. Again, another week with no turnovers. He's playing like a first-rounder. And at this point, I feel good about him sticking around for another year. If he keeps doing what he's doing, I will take a 2-touchdown Jameis every single game if it means that we don't have any turnovers. The only thing I feel like this offense needs right now, we got to be more confident in the run game. Peyton Barber has showed us flashes that he can get the ball downfield.
Yeah, I mean, he had another strong game today, and he's really starting to prove himself. And oh yeah, that's right. Well, I mean, hey, every day is game day.
What's the game going on right now? It's Monday Night Football. I think the Redskins are playing the Eagles.
Yep, it just went to halftime. I'm just watching it. It's 14-13. Phillies up. The Redskins just kicked the field goal.
Can we have both teams lose?
Mark Sanchez is in because Colt McCoy got injured.
Really? All right. Well, the Eagles are going to take this one.
Mark Sanchez's first play, they do a run. They're on like their own 10-yard line, so they're backed up. His first play, they hand the ball off to Adrian Peterson. He went 90 yards for a touchdown.
Oh, nice. It's Mark Sanchez, dude.
Yeah, there you go.
He's bringing a winning aura back to that football team.
The Sanchez.
So, speaking of Sanchez, wanted to get your thoughts on Jameis this past Sunday. And
speaking of Sanchez, Jameis Winston, Mark Sanchez. Do you just mention them in the same sentence?
Well, let's... man. Don't remind me that I did.
The Sanchez and the franchise. How about that?
That works. As long as Jameis doesn't record a butt fumble before the end of the year.
The Sanchez and the visor, because normal Jameis would have thrown 2 touchdowns but thrown 2 picks. Visor Jameis doesn't care.
Run me that stat line you've got of Visor Jameis.
Visor Jameis?
Yeah,
you don't even want to know about Visor Jameis.
I mean, last I had seen that Visor Jameis is not a man to be messed with.
He's not. Okay. Since Jameis, now I mean, this is obviously we're joking here, guys, but it's just a little thing that. Oh, all right. Well, some of us are joking. How about that? I'll tell you what. He doesn't throw another interception for the rest of the year. I'm going to call him just Visor. I'm going to get a jersey that's number 3, but it's going to say Visor on the back instead of Winston. Okay, so in 3 games. So he started 2, and he played the second half, basically, in the Giants game. He has 757 yards. Now, before that, Cincinnati game, he was not wearing a visor. He started wearing a visor after the Cincinnati game. He has 6 touchdowns, 1 turnover. It was an interception, which Deshaun Jackson, if he makes a better effort, isn't an interception.
Oh, yeah, it was that last game trying to save the game heave.
Yep, and he's been more mobile and aware in the pocket. That's Visor Jameis for you, folks.
That's Visor Jameis. So, I mean, he's playing more conservative football, though, from what we've seen. I mean, realistically, what I'm used to is I'm used to a 4-touchdown game for famous Jameis. We're getting 2 touchdown games. I think last week we got 3 touchdowns. I'm not complaining, but we are seeing a more conservative Jameis Winston.
It was a 2-touchdown game for Jameis last week.
Okay.
It was basically the same game, except Winston threw for less yards this week.
Okay. We're getting 2-touchdown game a week, Winston. I will take
as
2
long as there's no
touchdowns a
turnovers.
week. I will take 2 touchdowns a week if there's no turnovers. If we're finding a way to win games, this defense plays competent football, and Jameis gets his 2 touchdowns a week. Let's say Peyton Barber is able to get in for 1. You keep winning football games. Plain and simple.
I mean, this defense keeps creating takeaways. Peyton Barber does his job. Winston doesn't turn the ball over. The playmakers make plays. How about Chris Godwin? Catching.
Oh my God!
Dude, they did a little RPO. He caught the ball on a slant, went 48 yards. Right. I mean that's fantastic.
What, like 86 yards over his first 3 receptions, something
like
along
that,
those lines.
Yeah. So I would be surprised if you see Deshaun Jackson in the Buccaneers jersey again, just because of people that were there and people that are close to the Buccaneers have told me it's almost like it's a different energy. It's a different vibe. And I know Deshaun, I'm not out here to say he's a bad teammate and a bad person, because he's not. He wants to win. He does. But right now, his mentality is he's got one foot out the door. I mean, he's still going to try. Deshaun's never a guy that's going to quit. But
he's the type of guy who's going to go and win a ring with New England and retire.
He wants his money, right? He does want to win, but he wants his money, and he wants the ball thrown to him. I mean, you can't blame him for wanting the ball thrown to you, but
that's going to be any NFL wide receiver. That's their job.
Yeah, it's just some complain about it, some don't. You don't see Mike Evans complain about it. You don't see Chris Godwin, Adam Humphries complain about it, right? Mike Evans actually had a horrible second half, I thought, last week, or yesterday, I should say. I believe it was 3 straight penalties on him on fourth down, not in the fourth quarter, on the same drive, and that's just can't happen. 2 holding calls and a pass interference call, but you don't see them complaining much, and I mean Deshaun hasn't openly complained saying, "Oh, hey, I haven't got the ball enough." He hasn't done that, but you can tell he's
dropped enough hints.
Oh yeah, I know. I'm just saying, but
he's not exactly being subtle.
Yeah, he's not going to come out and say that. You know what I mean? Just because that's not being very professional. But yeah, I mean, I would be surprised if you see Deshaun Jackson in a Buccaneers new uniform. The only thing I think Deshaun Jackson does give you when he's out there is almost like a decoy. He's still fast.
He's still fast, and teams have plenty of reasons to be afraid
scared.
of him.
Yeah, teams are scared of his speed. Now, I do think that part of the reason Jackson failed in Tampa was Jackson. Part of the reason Jackson failed in Tampa was Winston. Part of the reason Jackson failed in Tampa was this coaching staff, because they had no idea how to use him. They thought when they signed him that even more than special teams. They thought when they had signed him that he was just going to run straight down the field and Winston was going to throw him a deep ball and everything was going to be just fine. Not the case. Okay? He can do a player like that can do so much more. Screens, slants,
end arounds.
Yeah, end around, out route.
Taking it back.
I mean, if you were the play caller, I think Deshaun Jackson would probably be leading the league in rushing right now.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Well, take a look at a team like Carolina. Their leading rusher is a wide receiver, if I'm not mistaken.
I think it's Christian McCaffrey still, but I mean, he's almost like a wide receiver.
Well, he's also their leading wide receiver is Christian McCaffrey as well. And just the way they use their personnel is
if they didn't have him, they'd be a mess.
That's true, man. And with Greg Olsen being out too, that's a big blow. But that rookie, he made some nice catches for them.
Yeah.
I didn't remember his name, number 80, the backup tight end for Carolina. But let's not sit here and talk about the Panthers because we just kicked their ass.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
All right, we're getting a little PG-13 over here.
4
Getting a little...
interceptions, dude. We kicked their ass.
Okay.
If you intercept the ball 4 times, I mean, you could win by 3 points.
You only beat them by 7 points. How is that kicking their ass, though?
I don't know. 4 interceptions. We've been on the other side of that. You can't win a game off of 4 interceptions. You can come close, but
Cincinnati
for the majority of that game...
Cincinnati game.
We didn't
Jameis Winston.
We didn't win that game.
I know, but it was close.
It was close, but we still got our ass kicked. You can look back at that game and say we got our ass kicked.
Okay, so you're saying, so, I mean, the Buccaneers in the past have been getting their ass kicked a whole lot then.
Yeah, I know. I'm talking a whole lot of smack for someone who just beat the 49ers and Carolina on a tailspin. Let me settle it down here. Let me check
now,
my
I mean, I know
privilege.
a lot of people are going to say, oh, it was the 49ers, oh, it was the Panthers. Like, I'm just saying, this Panthers team had to win.
This Panthers team had to win. And something else that hyped me up about this game that not a lot of people have discussed. We've been very happy over the win, but it's a division game as well. Those are huge. Everybody's going to play top-notch football when they go and play a division rival. I'm expecting a great game from the Saints next week. I'm honestly expecting the Saints to be beating us by 28 points at halftime. Well, if I'm being frank with you.
All right. Well, I'm just gonna say this right now. If the Saints think that they're gonna come in here and whoop the Buccaneers the way they thought, the way they thought that they thought. All right, it's getting a little late. The way they thought they were going to week 1, the Bucs are gonna win. It's gonna happen because
you think it's a lower scoring game.
The Saints can't overlook this team.
Yeah.
They're hot right now. They're playing with confidence. They're hot. They're playing with confidence. Jameis is playing well. The defense is getting turnovers. Defense is getting pressure. You know, I'm not saying the Buccaneers are better than the Saints because they're not. The Saints are still a top 3 football team in the league. The Buccaneers are not a better football team than them. However, if the Saints take the Buccaneers lightly, the Saints are going to find out the hard way when the Saints lose to the Buccaneers. And would have lost 3 straight years in Raymond James Stadium.
I know.
Now, I'm not saying the Buccaneers are going to beat the Saints. I don't think the Buccaneers are going to beat the Saints. But if the Saints come in there with that mentality, they're going to lose.
I know you can't see it. I know the people listening can't see it, but I'm gritting ear to ear right now. I don't know, man. Hearing that. And,
so you like that sound? You like that sound, huh?
I do. I like the sound of the Buccaneers being slept on and going in there and kicking ass just like they did week 1.
I'll tell you who likes that sound even more, Dirk Cutter. And I want to transition that into, I've said a lot, I think 8-8, maybe 9-7, Dirk Cutter keeps his job. And then a few weeks ago, I was like, there's no way Dirk Cutter keeps his job.
I was convinced that if he didn't make the playoffs, he's gone.
Here is, I don't have any sources on this. This is my guess completely. Okay? I think Dirk Cutter needs 2 more wins. He needs to go 2-2. If they go 2-2 over the next 4 games, he stays. The whole staff stays.
They finish 7-9.
7-9.
7-9, and let's hypothetically say 3rd in the NFC South. I know that typically doesn't matter.
3rd in the NFC South, and I'm betting on Winston playing well in all 4 of those games. It would be a big thing if they were able to maybe win one of those games on the road. Maybe beat Dallas, who's really hot right now.
Yeah.
Beat Dallas and then beat Atlanta the last game of the year. I do think 6-10 gets Dirk Cutter fired, but I think 7-9, I think he stays. I do think there's some changes made to the staff. George Warhol, the offensive line coach, maybe Tim Spencer, the running backs coach, and just like you said, Duffner for defensive coordinator possibly. Here's the thing: if
Cutter sticks around.
If Cutter stays, Duffner deserves at least an interview. He deserves a significant look from the Buccaneers. Because what he's doing right now with these guys, Justin Evans played, he wasn't healthy at all. I watched the film. Trevor pointed out to me on Twitter a few things. Trevor Sickham of PureReport.com.
Tampa Bay Trey.
Justin Evans, yeah. Or as on Twitter right now, Christmas Trey. So, Or when I like Halloween when it's Trevor Treat. So,
Oh, yeah.
you know, Justin Evans is normally pretty fast, and his toe was bothering him because on that McCaffrey touchdown, that was right after Justin Evans had chased down McCaffrey, and I think that's all Justin Evans had. That was it. Because I love the hustle, but yeah, on that
Not
McCaffrey
if you're hurting yourself.
If that McCaffrey touchdown, he was slow as molasses.
Yeah.
Slow as molasses. And yeah, so he's out, right? So you're playing with Andrew Adams. Wasn't on the week one, was not on the squad, right? Ryan Smith, who was on the squad but wasn't playing much. Isaiah Johnson, who was on the squad, wasn't playing much. Isaiah Johnson actually ended up coming out of this game too. Javian Elliott, who had a pick. Right? I almost said
Thank
today
God.
again.
I was glad
almost
about
said
that.
today. Yeah, I thought he was going for 6.
Yeah, me too. If he would have cut, I think if he
thought
would
he
have cut
was.
back to the inside of the field, he would have been gone. But I couldn't really
Things
tell
got a
from the
little
angle.
crowded. Things got a little crowded there. You know, like they're down towards the sideline. If you would have cut it in a little earlier, maybe.
Yeah. Stumbling back and forth. I got you.
But yeah, I mean, these guys were just picked up off the street, Nassib, you know, on the waiver wire. I mean, yeah, they had players. Levante going back certainly helped. He led the team in tackles, but had a big sack, of course. But I mean,
the best
just
play of the game.
It really helps Duffner. It really does. And I do think that if Dirk Cutter stays, I do think they are going to interview some defensive coordinators. I do think that. I do think Duffner will get a look. I don't know if he gets a job because, let's say they do win 2 more games with the Bucs beat the Saints, lose to the Cowboys, lose to the Ravens, then beat the Falcons, and that's the way Cutter keeps his job. But the reason they lose to both games on the road is because the defense is atrocious on the road. I don't know if you can justify keeping Duffner.
Yeah.
If you can. I mean, if you want to put him back down the linebackers coach, I don't know how he would feel about that. But if you want to do that, possibly, because, I mean, if this team allows, 38 points, if they allow 24 points to the Saints, Bucs win 28-24 or something, and then they allow 38 points to the Cowboys and 35 points to the Ravens, and they both lose, well, it's not a good look. So
yeah.
I do think Cutter, I've changed it, 7-9, keep his job. Do I think he does it? I don't.
I think the Bucs have the ability to win at least 2 more games.
They have the ability to win 3.
I'd like to believe they do, yeah.
They have the ability. They're not going to win out. I don't care what anybody says. They're not going to win. They're not going to make the playoffs, I don't think. They're not going to win out. It's too difficult. Right now, it's, maybe if they played a 49ers team, right, instead of the Ravens when they're hot, maybe if they played the Ravens or Cowboys earlier in the season when they were struggling a little bit, both those teams are really starting to find their strides now.
We could probably beat the Steelers now. Just lost back-to-back games.
Yeah. I mean,
they're not looking good.
Yeah, so it's it's going to be difficult. I don't think they're going to get it done. And I wouldn't write off this Tampa team though to possibly get another win though, maybe 6-10. In that case, I think it would be a tough decision for the Glazers. But yeah, to close it out, 7-9, I think keeps Cutter's job. Yeah. So and I think Jason Light stays no matter what. I've said this for a while. I think Jason Light stays no matter what.
You think the Bucs lose out, go 5-12 or 5-11, and he stays?
No. Well, wait. Jason Light or Dirk Cutter?
Jason Light.
Jason Light will stay.
Wow. Okay.
Jason Light will stay just because. And let's not forget who picked up Andrew Adams, right? Yeah. Let's not forget who picked up Carl Nassib, who picked up Jason Pierre-Paul. Yeah. I mean, it's. These past few weeks have been looking very good on him. They've been looking better and better. Vita Vea is finally becoming into his own now. I mean, he was pushing the center right back into Newton.
Yeah, I mean, he was. And let us not forget, we brought up that pressure on Cam Newton all day long a little while ago on the show. But, I mean, let me just reinstate that, man. That pressure, that entire offensive line was feeling it. I mean, these guys were breaking through. That pocket was collapsing. Cam Newton was on the move a lot. Yeah. So let's not take anything away from that defensive unit.
If the Buccaneers can get more pressure next week, guess what? Breeze has only thrown 2 interceptions this year, or I believe 3 maybe. he's going to throw another one and possibly two against this team.
Yeah, we just got to see how it plays out.
Like I said, we'll see. I think 7 and 9. I was on the board with 7 and 9 would get him fired. I don't think that anymore. And if they go 6 and 10, that would mean they go 1 and 3. What do those 3 losses look like? Are they blowouts? Or are they sort of like the Cincinnati game where you're down 35-7, but you come back and make it 38-35 or something final, and you lose? If that happens, I don't think the Glazers keep him. But the one thing I will say, last thing I will say about this, and it might be for a little while, about Cutter and stuff. Don't fall into the trap, Glazers. Be wary of the trap. I'm not saying Dirk Cutter is going to be a failure next year. The only thing I'm saying is that 2016, the defense started forcing turnovers all of a sudden. The offense started playing turnover-free football. They won a few games, and they went 9 and 7. Dirk Cutter, if he goes 7 and 9 or 6 and 10 the first year, and then 5 and 11 the next year, he's fired. So if they go, let's say they go 8 and 8, right? Let's say they go 3 and 1. I don't know. I don't know if you keep Cutter because will you fall into the trap again? It's a tough decision. Now, it might not be a trap, but there's always the potential that it could be.
Yeah. I mean, really just a very interesting point in the season. We've got 4 games left. You're 5 and 7. This is the point where, as you said, decisions can start to be made. We're starting to see these guys put the effort in for this last quarter of football. Jameis Winston needs to play at the top of his game. A lot of guys who are going to want to stick around are going to have to play at the top of their game. And, of course, for Dirk Cutter's sake, this team is going to have to play at the top of their game. But I feel like we've covered just about all the bases regarding last Sunday's game against the Panthers. Let me talk about one more thing, and it's about this offense before we wrap up and move to another topic. But I got to say, the offensive line was probably the weakest part of the Bucs on Sunday. Lots of holding, lots of pocket collapses, and I mean, it's just not what you want to see. They weren't god-awful, but they weren't good. They weren't good at all.
No. Donovan Smith did not have his best game.
Donovan Smith had a terrible game. Donovan Smith was making Caleb Benenoch look good at times. He had a bad game. I mean...
Yeah. And I don't know if you pay that man $10+ million. I don't know. Right now, he's just too inconsistent. And so the thing is, that's why everybody said, well, you won't have to pay him $10+ million. Somebody's going to pay him.
Right.
He's a young left tackle. Somebody is going to pay him. It's going to happen.
I think he goes to the Bills.
I mean, I could see it. Somebody's going to be desperate and pay him $12 million a year. And I can't see this Buccaneers team doing that right now. I do think, and Scott Reynolds had said it earlier in the season when I was in Florida when he wrote this article, Donovan Smith is a candidate for the franchise tag. And I could see it. I could legit see this team putting a franchise tag on him saying, you know what, you got one more year. Prove to us that you can have a consistent season, a consistent 16 games. You don't have to be fantastic. Just be decent.
Don't be garbage.
This season, I think, has been one of his best. But these last 2 to 3 games have been bad. Like the first 9 games, good. The last 2 to 3 games, bad. Can't happen.
That's the type of player he's been, I think, ever since we've really started to pay attention to him. When he's good, he's great. When he's bad, he is bad. And he's not consistent. He's got to have the consistency. And like you said, I think the franchise tag is one of the ideas that makes sense right now, because I feel like if he's playing with money on the line, or at least, he knows there's money on the line, because I'm sure he's expecting to be paid, but like you said, I don't think he gets paid before a tag happens.
No, not by this team. He'll get paid by somebody, but he's not going to get paid by the Bucs. The Bucs wanted to re-sign. The Bucs' top 2 priorities this offseason are going to be to re-sign Quan Alexander and re-sign Adam Humphries. So those are right now, Donovan Smith is not top priority for them. Now, these next 4 games, if he plays dominant, he might make it top priority for him. But right now, he's not top priority.
I got you. Well, that's pretty much everything you need to know about the game the Bucks played against Carolina last Sunday. Again, it was 24-17, the final score in that game. Bucks wore their color rush. And a very exciting announcement, I'm sure you've heard, but the Buccaneers going to be rocking the color rush 2 weeks in a row.
Glad to see them wearing their best jerseys.
God, me too, man. Especially during the day. They look so good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it makes me feel good because the color rush jersey that I own is a Jameis jersey, so it makes it that much better when he balls out.
I wanted to get a color rush jersey. Thinking about it, maybe that'll be a Christmas pickup. Maybe, we'll see.
We have 2 different types, and I didn't notice that until I took a good look at mine and I took a good look at a few.
Yeah, there's you talking about the stripes?
Yeah, there's the one with the little accent, the stripe on the chest, and then you just got the solid red ones, which I assume are our newer ones.
Yeah, they only did the ones with the pewter little thing.
I think it was the first year.
That was it, yeah. And then they changed them to a solid red.
I gotta say, the solid red is a clean look, but if you slap some pewter pants on the color rush jerseys, I am A-okay with that being our permanent uniform.
Yeah. And how about, that'd be nice, dude. You take out the creamsicle of the pants, like the little, like, you know the white pants that they have?
The white pants with the red and the orange?
Yeah, you take out the orange, and you put the white pants on those. Oh, my God.
Or even just a little pewter accent to complement the numbers. I mean, oh, God, there's so many possibilities. And, of course, we've mentioned it before. After this season, the Buccaneers eligible to change their uniforms heading forward.
Yeah.
It's been 4 years.
I'm told that they're not planning on doing that.
I don't think they're going to plan on doing it either.
Maybe next year, I think, but we'll see. I wouldn't be opposed to a full, have the color rushes, get rid of the numbers, the alarm clock numbers, put solid numbers, keep sort of the font, right? Have the color rushes as your primary jersey, right? Have, white with, you can still have pewter pants, right?
I think you can come up with a creative number that screams Bucks without the alarm clock font. Because I think having a badass font.
Keep the numbers how it is. Just inside, you know what I mean? Inside those numbers. You know how like
divots?
That. Yeah. Get rid of those divots. You know how like on like the 3 of Jameis, like right at the top and at the bottom, there's that line that sort of cuts in.
Yeah, I know exactly. I'm actually looking at it right now on the display of the show.
Yeah, exactly. No, you know what I'm talking about. That get rid of those. Make them solid. The same font, just solid, right? Do the color rush as your full thing. Put like a thing of pewter pants, and you know what I want? An all pewter alternate.
Yeah, you think all pewter plays well?
Wear them only on primetime games, so it would only be once or twice a year. You wouldn't have to wear them out. It would feel like a special occasion, a big game when they wear them. I feel like that could work.
We just got to see, man. Look at us sitting here fantasizing about uniforms.
Big fan of the helmets.
If you guys are watching on YouTube and you have any interesting uniform ideas, drop them in the comments section below. Let's utilize that thing because we are getting a lot of people on YouTube. Thank you for the support. We are actually very close to hitting 250 subscribers.
There we go.
Let me also say thank you for that as well. So let's change topic here before we wrap things up. And I got a good sound bite for this, so give me about 30 seconds so I can play the sound bite. But let's talk playoffs.
That was a disgraceful performance, in my opinion.
Here we go.
We threw that game. We gave it away by doing that. We gave them the friggin' game. In my opinion, that sucked. What's that? Playoffs? Don't talk about playoffs. You kidding me? Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game.
Playoffs? I just hope we can win a game. So believe it or not, the 5-7 Bucks have a chance to make the playoffs. Here's the rundown.
I'm your host, Peyton Manning.
I got Peyton Manning telling me jokes at the ESPYs. Let me turn that off there. Here's the rundown on what would have to happen for the Bucks to be in the postseason. Now, we're talking wild card. A division title, first-round bye, and home field advantage. All of those are impossible. You can't do any of that. So if the Bucks want to make a wild card spot, you have to do all of these things. You got to win out. Carolina, Seattle, and Washington win no more than 2. And you want me to be honest with you? I feel like that's somewhat possible.
Especially because they just said Colt McCoy is out for the season.
Colt McCoy's out for the season. Right now, last I had seen, the Redskins are trailing the Panthers. The Eagles, excuse me.
Yeah.
That's a great start.
It looks like they might score, though.
Yeah.
But the Eagles are another team the Buccaneers can't have win, so.
That's true. Green Bay and Philly have to win no more than 4. Now, want me to be real with you, I am not afraid of Green Bay winning 4 more this season. Just fire their head coach.
I mean, they have Aaron Rodgers, so that gives them a shot in almost any game, but still.
Philly has to win no more than 4. I'm not scared about Philly winning any more than 4. And Atlanta has to lose at least 1. And I know for a fact they're going to do that because they just lost yesterday.
Oh, that big, that game, last game of the year might be big.
It might be big. So as I said before, a division title, first round bye, and home field advantage are all impossible at this point. But your Bucs have a chance to make the wild card at 9-7. Granted that happens. But let me just say that for me, it's not even about a playoffs run at this point. Because chances are slim to none. But for me, something that would make the rest of the season is finishing well within our division. I mean, we have a legitimate shot of finishing second in the South right now. Mm-hmm. Not only is it going to depend on the huge game next week against New Orleans, but it's also going to depend on how Carolina wraps up the season. You know, they've been playing awful. The Falcons have not been a good football team. I'm fairly confident that they can lose a few more than we can win. I've got a good feeling about this. You finish second in the South behind a Saints team that's the best in the NFL. I mean, what else can you say? You can say that obviously this season was a wash because we didn't make the playoffs or win the division or any of the things that we set out to do. But this was a team 4 weeks ago, where our own fans were calling for the head of our head coach and quarterback. Of course, we still have some people calling for the head of our head coach, and I don't blame them.
And quarterback.
But this is a team who's also turning it around and growing up before our eyes, as it seems. I mean, Jameis Winston playing consistent football. He's doing what he needs to do. These guys are changing the culture, or at least they're trying to. And they're trying to turn this around and be a winning team. You want to set the tone for next year? You finish second in the South.
Mm-hmm.
You're dead last year. You finish second this year? I don't care if you make the playoffs. That sounds great to me. If you would have told me at the beginning of the year that the Bucs are going to finish second in the NFC South with a 9-7 record, I'd be like, all right, shit. Be a little disappointed, as I'm sure we all have been this season.
Well, I predicted 8-8 for this team, so.
Exactly. I mean.
Or maybe it was 8-8 or 9-7, one of the two. I know that.
I think it was both. I think you literally dropped both.
You know, let's be honest, though. Let's not give the fans any false hope here. You seriously think this football team's going to win out?
And now,
me? No.
Yeah. No. They're not going to beat the Saints. The Cowboys are hot right now. The Bucs have to go on the road. Bucs are a bad road team. Same thing with the Ravens. Ravens are hot right now. Lamar Jackson, I think, is probably going to shred this defense on the road. They don't do too well with quarterbacks like that. Because Lamar Jackson, everybody says, oh, he's not a quarterback. He can throw the ball. He's got accuracy. He's got the arm.
Dual threats are scary.
To the Buccaneers, yeah. Yeah, they're really, really scary. And then the Falcons, I mean, that's probably the only game I see the Bucs having. I mean, they'll have a shot in every game. But if you want to talk about me possibly picking the Bucs to win, probably the only game. And even then, I'm not sure they win. So, because you don't know what the injury situation looks like, and you don't know, anything can happen. I mean, like I said, you don't know if this team drops 3 straight and they have to play that last game versus the Falcons. If they already basically know Cutter's out, you don't know what the mindset of the team's going to be. So, I mean, I think they will have a shot against the Falcons. That'd probably be it. Probably going to be it. So, yeah. 6-10, maybe. And I still think Cutter's fired then, but who knows?
We just got to see. It's going to be an interesting last 4 weeks of the season.
He has some life. Cutter's team showing some life.
Oh, for sure. For sure. I mean, it's going to be a very interesting last quarter of the season. I'm excited for it. You're excited for it. And Bucs fans, we should be excited to watch this team play because what they're going to show us over these next 4 weeks is going to be what we can expect going into the beginning of next season. Obviously, you've got the offseason. Plenty of things could change. But
plenty of things, especially this offseason. Big offseason for this team coming up.
A common theme for this team, a common theme that we've talked about here on the show before, and a common theme that I know for a fact other Buccaneers podcasts, who might not have to be named, have talked about before, is changing the culture. You want to do that?
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I mean, you want to do that?
Why don't you shout them out, Rhett? Don't be a coward.
You do that, you change the culture, you make a statement these last 4 games, and you get some people behind you, and you give us a team that we can believe in heading into next season. I'm excited. You should be excited. Let's get excited. But ladies and gentlemen, that's just about going to do it for this episode of the Cannon Fire Podcast here today for episode 43. Thank you for hanging in there and listening to us 43 different times. Thank you so much for listening, whether it's on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, or now iHeartRadio. You can check us out on the podcast section anywhere you go. You can follow the show on Instagram at Cannon Fire Podcast. You can also find us on Twitter at Cannon Fire Pod. You can follow my co-host Evan at Bucks Way, formerly Bucks Football, on Twitter and Instagram as well. Make sure you check out our partners at pewterreport.com for some of the best Bucks coverage in the game. And last but not least, check out our sponsors at cooltowel.com. I am Rhett, signing off for Evan, and we will see you next time. Go Bucks!